When an application system needs to be put into use, at the time of cutover, the data need to be converted from manual or existing system into the application system. When large amount of data need to be captured, it will be difficult to enter them using the standard functionalities of the application system. It is easier if they are tabulated, verified and certified before they are loaded without manual intervention into the application system. Best form of list of data is Excel. Standard conversion program makes use of the Excel data or fixed length text file. Delimiter separated text file. Most commonly used delimiter is comma. However, if the data is also contains comma, then this cannot be used. Expects the layout of the Excel file delimiter separated text to be specified in a text file. By convention, this should be in given location where table type is master, transaction or parameter. User can choose at the execution time location for changing default locations. Excel or text file. Text file write the error records. Text file to write the error messages. Function will update the specified tables one or more. Will write the error list to a comma-separated text file. Will write the errors to a text file. For each bulk upload function, we need to create a WinForm function and set application-specific system parameters for the function to use the definition file and default Excel file and error files. Create a description of data layout of the source file or definition file. For each application component, we can make a startup function with same first dialog of anchor table of anyone table and plugin program leobiz.conversion.dll and class leobiz.frconversion.upload files. This program should be copied to the application component assemblies directory. 3 application parameters should be defined for as follows. This can be defined using the menu function designer. Error file and Excel file are default values, and defile is fixed and cannot be changed. Error file and Excel file has to be with relative to conversion def in global installation specific system parameter. Defile is with relative to application directory. The Excel worksheet will contain 2 sections, header section and details section. Same type of data may be in several worksheets. The worksheets that do not contain data should be removed from the workbook. For delimited text file, of course, will have one worksheet only. Header common data that will be included in every row. Detail data that will differ from row to row. It is the detail section that will contain the data to be uploaded. Each row will normally correspond to one record that is to be uploaded. Header section will contain the data that is common to all the rows in the details data. Header section will contain data that is applicable to all the detail records. Structure of the header section is that it will contain only one data element in each Excel row. Column A will contain a label. Column B will contain the data. Header section may contain multiple rows. Detail section will follow the header section. Detail section will have several rows of data. Each row will be one instance of data. I type of data will be identical in each row. End of the detail section will contain end in the column A. Text file that describes the layout of the Excel delimited text file contains section describing initial plugins and file definition and delimited character in workbook and worksheet section. Data layout of the header section in header section. Validations to be performed using data in the header validate section. Updates to be performed using the header section, only data header validate. Data layout of the detail section Start of the detail section and the validations to be performed in the detail section using each row of data. Detail validate section validations will be rarely used as they would be in the schema. Updates using each row detail section of data detail update section. Initial plugins can be called before a worksheet workbook. This could be used to perform some initialization. Method names that will be invoked before the workbook processing starts and ends will be specified. If methods are not used, it will be null. Plugin DLL name. This DLL should be in the application directory assemblies directory. Plugin class name of the plugin. Before WB plugin method called before workbook is opened. After WB plugin method called after workbook is closed. File type. This specifies which type of file is going to be uploaded using upload program. This could be Excel, delimited, tab separated, etc. or fixed length format. Definition would be as follows. Excel files, Excel. Fixed length format files, fixed length. Text files with delimiter separated, delimited. Delimiter definition. Delimiter character, which is used in the file, should be representing in binary value. For example, if a tab separator is used in the text file, the binary representation of tab, i.e. 09 should be defined in the layout definition. Before WS plugin method called before worksheet is opened. After WS plugin method called after worksheet is closed. Section will describe the layout of the header section. It is used for documentation and to create the Excel layout that can be used by the users to fill the data. It is not used by the upload program at present. Under this section, for each the fields used are to indicate that this header row definition, row number in which this field appears, column will be always B, while the description of the row will be in column A. Row name. This will be inserted in the column A of the Excel sheet so that the users will know what it is. Used for U update, V for validate, and not used only for clarity. This will be used as many times as the number of rows in the header section. Header section attributes will defined by header validate will specify starting row, number of fields in header, as many time as required, and is optional. Table to be validated against. Fields used in validation. It will start with mandatory start row and number of rows, and after header read plugin. They will be specified by S and N parameters as shown. Typical specification may look this, indicating that it is starting at row 1 and has 3 fields and no plugin method after reading headers, and no table validations. Validation could be performed against one or more tables. Each table validation will start with the T parameter and followed by the H parameter. T parameter gives the table against which the validation is to be performed, and H parameter gives the header data that is to be used in the validation. T parameter gives the T indicating the table specification, table code of the table against which the values are validated. Validation type. 0 means record should not exist and 1 means record should exist. H parameter gives H indicating fields, field code in the table against which validation will take place, row number in the header section from which the data is to be used in the validation. In this example, header validates agents table code M0010 for existence of record. That is, if record do not exists, upload will stop, and if it exists, it will continue. It uses header row 1 value and row value 2 combination to match against table fields with code N0001 and N0020. This specifies the table to be updated using the header data. This will be specified in the section under header update. This is rarely used. Specification will be similar to the header validate. Several header tables can be updated. Each table update will start with T parameters and followed one or more H parameters. T parameter will specify table code to be updated. Type of update. 2 means add a new row. If it already exists, it will be an error condition. 3 means update row should exist. If it does not, it will be an error condition. 4 means it may or may not exist. Before table update plugin method. After table update plugin. H parameter will specify field code in the table to be updated. Row number in the header from which the field value is to be used. Column number will always be column B. In this example, table M0010 is updated adding new records using the field code and corresponding row number fields from Excel. Detail section will describe the layout of the detail section. It is used for documentation and to create the Excel layout that can be used by the users to fill the data. When fixed-length text files are used for conversion to determine the positions of the input fields, under this section for each the fields used are to indicate that this detail column definition, column no in which this field appears, column name. This will be inserted in the starting row of detail less 1 in the Excel sheet so that the users will know what it is. Used for times U update, times V for validate, times N not used only for clarity. This will be used as many times as the number of rows in the header section. Starting position of the column if it is a fixed length text file. Length of the column if it is a fixed length text file, also used for creating template Excel file for preparation of the data. Detail validate will start with S specification that will indicate the start of detail rows. Detail rows will start after the header section is complete in the data sheet, but an Excel sheet in between the description of the columns will appear. S parameter will indicate the start of data rows in the Excel sheet. No of columns underscore no of columns in the Excel sheet. After row read, plug in the plugin that will be called after the read of the row. End of the data rows will vary depending on the volume of data and will be indicated by end in the column A. This will be followed by detail validate. This specification will be similar to header validate. It will have T parameter followed D H parameter. T parameter gives the table code and validation status. 0 should not exist and 1 means should exist. H D parameter gives field code in the table, row number in the header section or column number in the given row from which the data is to be used in the validation. This validation will be performed for each row, and if the validation fails, the row will not update. Error message will be written to the error file and row will be written to error list file. This section specifies the table update to be performed. There can be one or more tables that can be updated. Each table to be updated will start with AT parameter followed by one or more HDP parameters. Table code to be updated. Type of update. To means add a new row. If it already exists, it will be an error condition. 3 means update row should exist. If it does not, it will be an error condition. 4 means it may or may not exist. Before table update plugin method. After table update plugin. Table update or not. Whether table is to be updated or not. This used when the table is updated by the plugin and not by the conversion program. Why do not update? Absence of this parameter will imply update. N update. D parameter will specify field code in the table to be updated. Column number in the detail from which the field value is to be used. Whether field is to be updated or not. H parameter will specify field code in the table to be updated. Row number in the header from which the field value is to be used. Column number will always be column B. Whether field is to be updated or not. P parameter will specify field code in the table to be updated. Runtime parameter name. Whether field is to be updated or not. We want upload data to employee file. Separate list of each department. Format as shown. Create men function under a new. Main menu, conversion. Sub-menu, master. Menu function upload employee list. Create a first dialog for HRM using employee_master anchor table and new dialog with some fields. Create WinForm function with plugin program leobiz.conversion.dll and class leobiz.frconversion.upload files. Make sure this DLL is in HRM application assembly. Set the menu system parameters. Set the menu system parameters. Create definition file header. No plugins are used, so no entries in workbook and worksheet. Header has only field starts at first row. Validation with department table to make sure department is valid. Create definition file detail. Only one table is updated and the Excel fields and update fields are specified. all fields except Department I from detail rows. Creating update fields, especially table field codes, could be tricky. Easy way doing is export to Word all fields of you, date table, in this case employee, and delete the headings. It will appear like this. Replace the first column, that is field order column, all with comma. Third column, that is file name column, with comma, space, and to backstrokes up the get the table like this. Delete the columns after labels and get the table like this. Convert table to text with space as the separating character, and this could be obtained. This can be copied to the text file and easily construct the update section, deleting unnecessary fields and updating source type and column row number.